On this week's episode of Three Dad Bod,
each year a beggar or a student would be crowned the Lord of Misrule, and eager celebrants played the part of his subjects. The poor would go to the houses of the rich, demand the best food and drink. If owners failed to comply, their visitors would mostly terrorize them with mischief.
Sarcastic, witty, and not afraid to mix it up. Pop open a cold one and welcome to Three Dad Bods.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Three Dad Bods with Brent, Carl, and Sean. Everybody, a big ho, ho, ho to everybody as we begin our Christmas episode. The
Happy
first
holidays.
hopefully the first of many.
Sean, you're just a Scrooge. Bah humbug.
Yeah. I'm not going to deny that.
So this week, we're going to talk about Christmas as a whole. We're going to talk about where it came from, how we celebrate it, how each of us celebrates maybe a couple special Christmas memories, and, you know, of course, the origins of Christmas and how we've kind of gotten to this commercialized holiday that we celebrate now, which is the biggest retail, I guess,
Event?
season. Yeah. Event, I guess. Yeah. Of the year by far. I mean, this is when all these, you know, the Amazon, that crazy thing. I picked up a guy the other day from Amazon doing Uber. He told me
Finally,
in that shift, they did 75,000 packages out of his location between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. 75,000. And that's just one spot.
That was with who? Amazon?
Amazon. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible how much.
That wasn't even, was that Cyber Monday, Amazon Prime Day or Cyber Monday?
I let's see. I drove on Sunday. So this was on Sunday. Yesterday morning. So a week past Black Friday, a week past Cyber Monday. And yeah, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Black Friday doesn't have the same hoorah as before COVID. Am I wrong thinking that? I feel like there were more people that were waiting, big lines outside. And I mean, yes, there's some lines, and I think that some people have some family traditions where they all get together at 3 a.m. and start shopping. Not really, because the only time I've ever done Black Friday shopping is when I go down to the liquor store and they have these special release beers that are released on Black Friday. So that's the only time I ever go.
I've never shopped on Black Friday. Not once in my life have I gone out on that Friday, ever.
Have you ever shopped?
I couldn't. Yeah, I mean,
my ex used to work. My ex used to work at Walmart back in the day when they did have the fights after Thanksgiving. So they'd open up at 6:00 that night, and she said they'd have these big bins, and people would literally clobber each other over that stupid crap that was like $100 off, or $50 off, or $25 off. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but people sure made it a big deal. And I remember those, even before that, people would camp out before they opened on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
All freaking night. The girls would get up at 3 a.m. And I'm like, that's insane. I'm staying in bed. There's no way I'm getting out.
They used to have the stories of the people waiting in line, like at Best Buy, to get the new Xbox or whatever that was coming out that year. So
did some people get trampled in Chicago like just about 10 years ago?
Every weekend.
It was Chicago, man. Let's call that Thursday, you know?
Have you ever spent time on Michigan Avenue? Yeah, no kidding.
I don't even think they go shopping anymore. They just call what are those called? Where everybody gets together at a specific time and just rips the store off and takes off.
Hey, look, in Portland, as long as it's under $900, you can have Black Friday every day, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a misdemeanor.
So Sean,
so when did Christmas start?
Tell us, when did it start? How did all of this begin? Like Jesus was born on December 25th, right? The shepherds were out shepherding sheep in the middle of December, like it always happens and
not
stuff.
Not really.
No, that's not how it was.
Busting to have a baby, right?
He wasn't born right on December 25th.
Not really. So, from what I've read, Christmas, the celebration of the 25th, didn't start happening until well into the 3rd century. So yeah, apparently nobody cared about Jesus's birth for 300 years after he was born. It took 300 years before anybody gave a damn. But
wouldn't you think his death would be a bigger deal than the miracle that happened after that? Then
now you are correct with that.
Born?
Like Lent and Easter was celebrated before that. It that has been around during that time. That's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, it used to be, but things changed. When Sam Walton created Walmart back in the 3rd century, and they started having the Black Fridays on, like 385, common era. You didn't know that Sam Walton was that old? Yeah, look at some pictures. He looks like Santa Claus, for crying out loud.
He was right in there with Pope Orange Julius I in the creation of Christmas. So
yeah, they were doing like a combo thing.
Well, like we said, the genius who created Christmas in the United States, the traditions here has made a fortune from it.
Well, I think things have kind of come together from around the world to kind of merge into what we all know. But I mean, we all know that things really started with the pagans and transitioned from the pagan celebrations and the pagan beliefs. So if you want to go through some of those things.
Yeah. So
people know what pagans were. So pagans are basically people who worshipped more than one god, and it's an overall umbrella term for anybody who had more than one god, really. So, but some of the specifics are, so there's the gift giving that really started with Romans and Saturnalia. And Brent knows about Saturnalia, right? You've heard about that.
Yeah. And we were talking about
the kind of combination, wasn't it, of the Roman and Christian? I mean, you got to have some holidays, don't you, if you're emperor?
Well, again, give away some like I said a minute ago, with pagan beliefs. So that would include the Romans, that would include the Greeks, and a lot of the Norse. So, things in Sweden, Scandinavia, Denmark.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, too, we have to remember that during this time, we're talking 3rd century, 4th century, 5th century, most of the world was pagan. You had the Germans, who had the pagan god Odin. You had the Norse. You had, we talked about the Romans. So these pagan gods, every group of, I guess, nationality or group of people had their own set of pagan gods that you would worship a god for food. You would worship a god for fertility. You would worship a god for sunrise,
agriculture,
for warmth, for crops, for everything.
Yeah.
And so it was the Christians who kind of pulled everything into one central god.
So there's a little bit of Denmark, and there's a little bit of German and Germania. Right. You can't say German, but because Germany wasn't a country until the late 1800s.
You had the old Saxons,
Germania, the Germanic tribes,
Germanic tribes.
Yep.
But I think
the barbarians,
the gypsies.
So the barbarians are the Germanic tribes. So,
I think one thing though, and my sister, she's not into the Christian tradition, and my daughter same way. When she has her beliefs, and one of the things was she wanted to celebrate solstice. And I think if you're talking pagan religions and pagan beliefs, I mean, you can go back thousands of years. The darkest point in the winter in the northern hemisphere would be December 22nd.
That's correct.
And so, December 25th is really close. The Festival of Lights you see up in Norway and I guess, Sweden and Finland.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings some brightness to a rather dreary period of time, wouldn't you think? It was dark all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was basically a celebration of light and life as the days would begin to get longer
Mm.
right.
Yeah,
after the
rebirth.
solstice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the
that's
interesting
the god, I can't remember his name, I can't remember, but yeah, it's specific. His birthday is December 25th. So there's a lot happening there within those few days of the 20 whatevers.
Yeah, and the Roman, I think the Christianity adopted it. That's my question. When did they adopt it? During the Middle Ages, or was it a little later? Like, was it a 16th or 17th century invention to put it on December 25th?
No,
right.
that started in the 3rd century. So it's
Okay.
evolved over time, but yeah, that's when it started.
So
it's got a long tradition.
Easter was the main holiday. The birth
It's an evolution.
the birth of Jesus wasn't celebrated. In the 4th century, church officials decided to institute the birth of Jesus as a holiday. But nowhere in the Bible does it mention a date for his birth at all. Some evidence suggests that his birth may have occurred in the spring, which would make sense because shepherds were out herding their sheep.
That's
But
when shepherds
as
are
I
out
mentioned
herding
before,
the new lambs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Pope Orange Julius I, he chose
Orange
December
Julius.
25th, commonly believed to be by the church, by the Catholic Church, that was the day that they were to adopt. And the first, called Feast of the Nativity, the custom spread to Egypt by 432 and to England by the end of the 6th century. So by holding
Okay.
Christmas at the same time as traditional winter solstice festivals, church leaders increased the chances that Christmas would be popularly embraced, but gave up the ability to dictate how it was celebrated. And by the Middle
Yep.
Ages, Christianity had, for the most part, replaced pagan as a religion.
You know, it's funny
That's
too.
one of the reasons why the pagan, the people who were pagans at the time were able to fairly smoothly integrate into the Christian religion because of the adoption of so many of the customs and dates, so it was the pagan, specifically the sun god Sol Invictus. That's who it was. Sol Invictus is the 25th birthday.
So something interesting that they're saying on this History Channel site, on Christmas, believers attend church, then celebrated raciously in drunken carnival-like atmosphere, kind of like Mardi Gras is today. Each year, a beggar or a student would be crowned the Lord of Misrule, and eager celebrants played the part of his subjects. The poor would go to the houses of the rich, demand the best food and drink. If owners failed to comply, their visitors would mostly terrorize them with mischief. Christmas
That's
became
awesome.
the time of year when the upper classes would repay their real or imagined debt to society by entertaining the less fortunate citizens.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Sean, I'm coming over to your house and take a duke on your front lawn unless I get steak.
That's why Carl Arnold did that in your basement.
Yeah. So it's revenge.
You didn't know Carl was he was pagan and he was just celebrating Christmas.
This was actually a Christian way of doing it, though, not pagan. This was Christian.
Well, he was in the middle of all. He was evolving.
Yeah. He never evolved.
So it puts a new meaning to lump of coal in your stocking, huh?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I didn't know. What's that called? That was called what, Brent?
That was Christmas. That was Christmas in the early stages. Yeah, it was a carnival-like atmosphere. So you'd get drunk, you'd eat, you drink, and then you'd go to the rich people and ask for drink and their best drink and the best food. And if they didn't give it to you, just go take a dookie on their front step or something like that.
That's how the Romans did it. That's how the Romans did it. Yeah.
I like that tradition. We should reinstitute it.
Well, you're the rich guy. You're the rich guy in the
I'm
neighborhood.
not the rich guy anymore. You are. That's why I said we're coming to your house.
Not true. I'm poor.
So
Rich in
the
spirit.
early 17th century, There was a wave of religious reform. We have the Puritans that took place. And in England, they vowed to rid England of the decadence. And as part of their efforts, they canceled Christmas. No more Christmas. Wasn't part of their Christian holiday.
That was New England.
No, that was in England.
Was it in England?
It happened
That was
in
in
England too,
England.
because
Yep.
it did happen in New England too.
Yeah,
In
Puritans.
Dickens, England?
The
Yeah,
Puritans
and then
banned it in New England.
by popular demand, Charles II restored to the throne in England, and with him came the return of the popular holiday. Now, what you're talking about, the Pilgrims, they came to America, and in 1620 they were even more orthodox than the Puritans in England, and as a result, Christmas was not a holiday in America from 1659 to 1681. It was actually outlawed in Boston, and anybody celebrating Christmas was fined 5 shillings.
Wow.
Wow, that's wild. But in the U.S., it wasn't a national holiday day until 1870. So
1870, June
Yeah.
26th, 1870. You would think they would have done it on December 25th, 1870.
Well,
they wanted to get ready for Sam Walton had been pushing Congress pretty hard that year.
Out.
He wanted to get Black Friday because it had been like 1,500 years since he started it. It's 300.
Amicus Waltonus, as he was known in the
Samicus Waltonus.
Yes,
that was his
Roman
that's his
Empire.
Roman name. His nickname was Biggest Dickus. So
So when did
if you've
you bring
ever
up a good
watched
question.
The Life of Brian, by the way, Christmas traditions, we need to get to that too. But Christmas traditions, a very good one is watching The Life of Brian or Monty Python.
Never
So
heard of that
good.
as a tradition.
So
It's a tradition. Are you kidding me?
Christmas tradition to watch The Life of Brian?
Yes, because it's about the birth of Jesus. Are you kidding
What
me?
channel does that play on? Is that playing on any of the holiday networks during?
plays
is that on Hallmark? Is that
It
on?
plays on everything that's reputable. Go
Okay.
to Netflix.
okay, Saint Nick. When did he appear?
Santa?
Yeah.
I think that was
Well, he
1800s
actually was
too.
a saint.
He was a
saint.
is a saint. Yeah, you know he was a saint of? The poor, children, and the most popular demographic, prostitutes.
So
Serious?
he was
Yeah.
born in Turkey around AD 280.
And then
Gave
know what
away
his burial
all
place
of his
is.
inheritance. He gave away all of his inheritance, wealth, and traveled the countryside helping the poor and sick, becoming known, as you said, as the protector of children and sailors. Nowhere does it say prostitutes.
It's
Children and
prostitute.
sailors.
Look it up. You're looking at
Sailors
Wikipedia.
Sailors would spend
No,
a lot of time
looking
with
at History
prostitutes.
Channel. Looking at the History Channel here. He first entered American popular culture in the late 18th century in New York when Dutch families gathered to honor the anniversary of the death of Sint Nicholas, or
Oh.
Sinterklaas for short. Santa Claus drew his name from that abbreviation. In 1822, an Episcopalian minister wrote a Christmas poem called An Account of Visit from St. Nicholas, which was known as the first line, "'Twas the night before Christmas."
Interesting.
And then the iconic version of Santa Claus is a jolly man in red with a sack of toys, was immortalized in 1881 when a political cartoonist, Thomas Nast, drew on Moore's poem to create the image of old Saint Nick, and that's how we have Santa Claus known as today.
Hey,
There's a connection with the Germanic paganism with Saint Nicholas and Odin. Odin was had a horse with 8 legs, and he
Wow.
would ride through the skies just like Santa's reindeer. So there's a lot of merging of different things that have ended up influencing what we now call Saint Nick. A little bit of Odin, a little bit of Saint Nick, a little bit of other this and that, a little bit of Coca-Cola.
Hollywood.
Saturnalia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about Saturnalia, and an interesting thing. in Rome, where winters weren't nearly as harsh as they are up in the north, the holiday in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture, celebrated beginning in the week leading up to the winter solstice, as we talked about, for a full month, when food and drink are plentiful and the normal Roman social order was turned upside down for a month. So for a month, the enslaved people were given temporary freedom and treated as equals during this time. Business and schools were closed so that everyone could participate in the holiday and festivities.
Nice. That was very generous of those Romans to treat the slaves with some dignity for a month.
For a month. Slave to the grind for 11 months, 1 month of freedom.
Not bad.
Wow.
Hey,
Well,
that's
good-
better
good-
than that's better
good
than
guys.
the American tradition was.
Right?
Yeah. Well, there's, yeah. So traditions, that's a good question as well. I think the United States has its traditions, as we all know well. But some of the other countries, so my sister and my son right now lives in Germany, and so they have some pretty interesting
Did you say your
traditions there in
sister and
Germany.
your son?
No, my sister used to live in Germany. She married a German guy.
Oh,
and then my
right.
son is in the army there.
Cool.
So, yeah, Stuttgart. So, Christmas is a big deal in certain countries in Europe.
Because of
all
vote?
of them. Maybe. Yeah. Well, like you said, Sean, there's a lot of Germanic tribes that still have till they wean themselves out demographically. But right now, there's still quite a few left that still celebrate some of Christmas's traditions, and some of United States traditions have been incorporated, unfortunately for them, in the corporate side.
Yeah,
But
like beating the crap out of each other on Black Friday for Walmart deals.
Right,
this
when you
is
don't
one
get the
that
correct gift.
this is one that surprised me. In Japan, of course, there isn't much of a Christmas tradition in Asian countries, but
Why
in
would that be?
Japan, because it's not a Christian continent. Okay. But in Japan, they once a year save up and order out early Kentucky Fried Chicken. So this tradition began in 1974 after a crazy U.S. marketing campaign called Kurosamasu. It's called Kurosamasu Nawa Kentucky, or Kentucky for Christmas. The fast food chain has maintained its time popularity, causing some people to order their boxes months in advance.
Their
or stand in
buckets?
two. Their
Not
buckets.
boxes, they're buckets. They're buckets of chicken.
Hey,
Yeah,
look,
buckets of chicken.
look.
They still do that.
If we can have eggs to celebrate the death of Christ, we can have chicken to celebrate his birth.
Might
They
as well.
stand in
Stand in
2 hour-long lines to get their finger-licking good food.
Killing spices.
All right, here's another one. This is
Yikes.
pretty cool. Okay, in Iceland, they celebrate 13 days of Christmas. Each night before Christmas, Icelandic children are visited by 13 Yule lads. They place their shoes by the window. The little ones will head upstairs. In the morning, they'll either receive a piece of candy if they're good, or be greeted with shoes full of rotten potatoes if they're bad. You thought coal was bad.
That's actually the Dutch do that with their wooden shoes,
Yeah.
leaving
Yep.
them out. Well, yeah.
So here's a question, though. You were talking about Japan, but in Asia, because, Asia has often had, multiple gods or multiple deities that they constantly, would worship or would pray to, or like, but you
It's more-
never hear about it. Did they have some type of festival or something that went during the winter solstice? Because, I mean, it hits them also,
That's a good question. I don't know. Do you
I
know
don't
the
have an
answer?
answer for that. Yeah.
So just think about that.
The gods
I've-
there are more like ancestral worship than worshiping of an Odin. But
If you want, there's a tradition in Austria that I wondered where I saw this movie called Krampus a few years ago. It was a horror show for Christmas, and it kind of freaked me out because it's like, what the hell? Where do these guys come up with this? Well, Austria, thank you. Alpine countries like Austria have a legend that a devil-like creature called Krampus joins their St. Nicholas festivities on December 6th. Children are asked for a list of their good and bad deeds. Good children are rewarded with sweets, apples, and nuts. And bad children worry that Krampus might bring on Christmas morning.
Kids,
And it's a
kids,
devil, dude.
Sean
big
is
horns.
Krampus.
No, no.
Yeah.
I
Is that where the Grinch came from?
no. I have no Austrian
is.
blood in me. I'm not Germanic
if
or
those are
Austrian.
tied,
Sorry.
Carl. I wonder if those are tied. You know, the Grinch kind of, because he's got the things going on. I wonder if he's kind of an adaptation of that.
You know, I gotta say, Austria coming up with Krampus. Is that's what he's called? Yeah, they also gave us Hitler. So I mean, Austria's got some really suspect things going on there. Just, hey, kids, stay away from Austria.
Okay, a couple more. These are some traditions maybe some of your families had, but have kind of integrated into the United States tradition. Where did poinsettias come from?
Mexico.
Oh, I know about that.
Yeah.
Where?
Those came from Mexico.
No.
Yeah,
poinsettia plants are named after Joel Poinsett, American minister to Mexico, who brought the red and green plant from Mexico to America in 1828.
That's right, Brent.
It's true. I was thinking mistletoe. Sorry.
Advent calendars. Which European country is that a big deal in? I didn't know this. My ancestors are from there.
Advent calendars, really?
So, like Scandinavia?
No, Switzerland.
Poland? Oh.
No, Switzerland. Swiss families make their own Advent calendars for the holiday season. They are given to children as a surprise, and it's a fun activity for the family. Each day, a bag reveals a new surprise or treat, with Christmas Eve being the big one. So anyway,
you know, the saying when one door closes, another door opens, that always referred to me as a kid with my little Advent calendar and the candy behind each door. So by December 2nd, right? It was emptied.
Why, you steal all the chocolate from it?
Yeah. Did you going to wait one day at a time? Oh.
And this last one, last one's kind of weird. Sweden, they have a Yule goat, and it's this big hay goat that they decorate with ribbons. Yeah. I was wondering if they burn it, but they don't even burn it. Each year it's constructed in the same spot. They watch it on a live stream. It's like a big deal. And then after New Year's, it's taken down.
They watch it on a live stream.
Yeah.
It's
just a big dumb looking goat
made out of straw. What the hell is it going to do?
I don't know, man.
That's weird.
Some people have some interesting traditions.
Sorry, my Swedish relatives and ancestors, but that's kind of weird.
It's called the Gavel goat. So just so you can look it up.
So,
well, that brings up a good question.
A couple more facts for you, Carl. Hold on.
It's very different from scapegoat.
A couple quick facts.
You got a couple more?
Every year, 25 to 30 million real Christmas trees are sold just in the United States. There are about 15,000 Christmas tree farms in the United States.
Really? Make some money doing that.
They usually grow between 4 and 15 years before they're sold.
So have you guys ever gone out, and speaking of Christmas trees, have you ever gone out and harvested your own Christmas tree from a mountainside or your neighbors?
No, I live in the city.
We did it once. We drove up we got a permit. You have to get a permit. We got a Christmas tree permit in Phoenix, and we drove for 2 hours to get up into get out of the desert. And we drove around the backwoods of the Payson, Arizona area. Found what we thought looked like a decent tree. And there was like a foot of snow, and here I am. Okay, kids, we'll harvest this one. So I crawl under the tree, and I, saw it down, and froze my butt off doing it. Threw it up on the SUV and drove it home and got it in the house. Put it in the thing that you put them in, those holders, and realized how terrible it looked.
You did. You didn't get
Yeah.
Mike Rigdon to start cutting it so that it falls on you?
No, no, Rigdon, goofball. Yeah, no, but it was the worst Christmas tree we ever had. It was
That's funny,
ugly
man.
and misshapen, and that Charlie Brown Christmas tree thing.
Haven't you seen Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation? That's what they did at the very beginning of the show.
But
that cured me.
that was a full big, Christmas tree. This one, it was more like the one that Charlie Brown did on the piano. It's all the needles falling off and misshapen, and it didn't look anything in the house like we thought it looked like up in the mountain.
That reminds me of my dad. We lived in Seattle, Washington at the time. We had this fireplace. He was a fire nut. And I liked it too, because I liked to see what he burned
burned
up.
the tree
He
in
worked
there.
he worked for this company called Brion Laboratories, and he was a salesman. So he'd always get these sample boxes. So we had a shiz load of sample boxes in the garage, and so he'd want to burn them. So we got this. We always got fresh Christmas trees. Well, this year, my mom wanted it at the beginning of December, and so he got it.
That's how house
And-
fires start, kids.
Well, yeah.
A
So he's
neighborhood
sitting there
fire
feeding this fireplace, and the tree's not 5 or 6 feet away from the fireplace.
Oh no!
And the next
Can't.
thing you know, one of these little sparks go,
Oh,
"Ooh," and all of a sudden, you hear my mom. He's like, she's racing into the kitchen to get water. He's like shoving it against the wall, trying to stuff it out as much as possible. He's damn lucky it wasn't too dry,
yeah.
or he would have burned the house down.
Lit the whole
Sounds
thing
like-
right up.
That sounds like Christmas Vacation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Holy
not
crap.
quite as bad. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Can't.
I know he
So-
kind of messed that one up.
Couple more for you. We talked about earlier that it began as a holiday in 1870. The Salvation Army has been sending their Santa-clad donation collectors in the streets since the 1890s. So about
That's
20
Walmart.
years after they began. And then last but not least, our favorite little character, Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all, was the product of Robert May's imagination in 1939. He wrote the poem about the reindeer to help lure customers into Montgomery Ward department stores. That's an old name you don't hear anymore, do you?
Rudolph is the
Yeah.
creation of Montgomery Ward?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't
I've
know
heard
that.
before too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
How
Well-
long ago did Montgomery Ward stop? I mean, I feel like when we were kids, it was around, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Used to be
There
a-
were some when I
big
lived in
time.
Minnesota. There were some around.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that crazy?
All
Like
right. Well,
Van,
hey, that brings up
Kmart,
some good
all those
questions.
places we would always go to are gone.
yeah.
That brings up some good questions, Sean. Why don't you go first? Tell us your favorite Christmas tradition, the one you hated the worst, and then tell us your favorite Christmas or a funny Christmas that you can remember.
Well, the one that I hated the most was my dad's tradition of saying, if you're not good, Santa's gonna bring you coal. And if you don't believe me, ask my brother, because he got coal one Christmas.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, my grandpa was a dick. So yeah. Yeah,
He really got cold.
he did. Yeah.
I bet he was good after that.
Yeah. Well,
Cleaned his
Sometimes you
act
gotta
up,
lay the
didn't he?
example.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that happened. I don't want to go too far into that, but yeah. No, it scared me every single Christmas. So yeah, I didn't like that. But a good tradition that we have as a family with my family is that and it started with Rachel's, so it's a continuation of what her family did. But basically, on Christmas Eve, we get together. We have a birthday party for Jesus, and we read the scripture that's famous in John about the birth of Jesus.
Was the night before Christmas? Oh,
Twas the
that's-
night.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that was a different one. but to learn a little bit about the wise men and all that other stuff, and then we have eggnog, and everybody gets to open a gift from mom and dad. And
Eggnog with Sprite, right?
eggnog with
But your eggnog's not the same as mine.
eggnog that does not include spirits.
I didn't
And
even
when I
know
say
it's
spirits, not the holy ones, but the kind that come out of a bottle. Yes. So,
Not
or
Brent's type.
or in Brent's case, a still, right?
Barrel.
So that's a good one. That's it's just you have a nice calm, some spiritual stuff for Christianity, and just stuff that makes the family kind of a thing.
Then the next morning, you just wake up and rip the hell out of all the presents, right?
Next morning, the kids are not allowed to go downstairs until mom and dad are awake. And then
That's good.
Dad has to go down to see if Santa Claus came and announced to the family, yep, it appears that Santa Claus did come, and there are things down here. Come on down. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's how we did it. Yeah. I had to go down and
Okay.
check to see if Santa was indeed
Well,
there.
now that the kids are older, and obviously you're going to have some grandkids eventually. You already have one,
I
right?
have one grandson, yeah.
Yeah.
But is that
I don't know
not
if
the
you.
greatest though with your kids? Like to me, that's some of the best moments. I mean, the
Yeah.
kids, like
Yeah.
you wait till they finally fall asleep, and then you hurry and rush and put all the Christmas out, presents out. Now, sounds like yours is a little different than ours, Sean, because all night long we would hear, boop, 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 and you'd hear, oh, Santa came. Just put this together, and then like at 3:30 in the morning, you're getting tapped on the head. Santa came. Can we open them up? Like that's the best. That is the absolute best feeling in the whole world.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Well,
the
I was
kids
gonna
would
finish-
come in and wake us up, and
And sorry,
everybody
Carl, I
would
didn't mean to
pile-
interrupt you there,
everybody
but I
would
wanted
pile
to
on
add
my
into that.
bed. So I'd have a bed full of 4 kids, and is it time we can go? Can you? Well, Dad's got to go down and check. So yeah, no, you're right. Those are some really good memories that I love.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
the
Carl, I
thing
didn't mean to
about it
cut
is,
you off there.
as an
but
adult,
I just
the one that's providing all of that for your children, it's so much
The
better
best.
than when you were a kid yourself.
it is. And to
I mean,
see
all
their
that-
faces as they open up everything, and
So much better.
nothing like it.
So much better.
I was going to ask, now that the kids are older, how are things going to be changing, you think?
I mean, the transition into being the grandparents that they come see, and I mean, you had your tradition to go see your
We
grandparents.
drink
I'll
a lot
bet.
more.
What now?
We drink a lot more.
That's
I was going
funny.
to say, you probably do.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, and the transition, the transition to being the grandparent. So you don't have those moments anymore with your own kids, which is kind of a sad thing. But then you get to have grandkids come over and do the thing with grandkids, and personally, I'm looking forward to that. We haven't really had a grandchild that understands Christmas, but he was over to see us yesterday, and I was driving him home, and some of the neighbors had their Christmas decorations out, and he pointed out Santa Claus. Oh, Opa, it's Santa Claus. Yeah, that's right. And I'm Opa. I'm not Grandpa. I'm Opa. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
What about
Opa,
you,
to say-
Carl? What about you, Carl? Best tradition, worst thing you hated?
Well, I mean, I think the Christmases are interesting because, as you are a kid and you celebrate Christmas with your, family that you're born with, and there's a certain tradition or type of traditions because each family brings different traditions to the table. I remember back then we would have, like Sean was talking about, a birthday for Jesus on Christmas Eve. My dad would read the scripture. Like you, Brent, we couldn't come upstairs until 7:00. Even though Chris and I would be down, we usually lived in the basement, so we'd be peeking under the door
Yeah.
just to see if we could see the Christmas tree and see what we could see.
Listening.
of course, we'd try to go to sleep, and then we'd end up, uh, playing board games at 4 in the morning until 6:30, and then 6:45. Just the anticipation would kill us. But then you get married, and it was kind of weird. First thing Charlene took me to was her grandmother's Italian crazy ass Christmas party. It was on Christmas Eve, and they're sitting there beating each other up with these. This is Brian Colton. You remember him?
Yeah.
And
I was just saying that
his
sounds like
mom.
the Colton side of the family
That's the
doing
cold
that.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would literally hammer each other, called button. Who's got the button? They'd go up and each other with a rag. It was hard. It hurt.
That doesn't
And
sound
then,
like a fun Christmas tradition.
And then, well, then you
Yeah.
have
Wet
Italian
rag?
meatballs. It was pretty good, actually. But I was told by this little Italian grandma that if I couldn't go to my family's traditions anymore, and I told her straight, no, that's not going to happen. We'll still go to mine every other year. But it was it was fun. But by the time we got home, we never had all the presents wrapped yet. And so Charlene and I'd be up until 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
just exhausted as hell.
Yeah.
We'd watch Christmas Story and Chevy Chase Vacation over and over and over until we got sick of it. And then we'd get Christmas done. And no, my favorite time, though, was watching the kids the next morning, all that work you put into it. And they really did appreciate it, which was nice. And now, the kids are a little older. I don't have grandkids like Sean yet, so I'm looking forward to that space. And
You got
kind
them
of
all over
hard
the
when you're
place
single,
too. Kids are all over too.
Yeah, well, it's been kind of different without, a partner. So, maybe that'll be rectified someday soon. We'll see. But we still have a Christmas dinner. So what I do is I'll cook like tenderloin or something I don't like turkey. So I'll do,
I'm with you on that, by the way. 100% with
yeah,
you.
I'll
Thanksgiving
just
is
try
not my
something.
favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Have you ever had
So
lamb
Mhm.
chops?
no, I haven't tried that. I want to try that sometime. That sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
When I was a kid,
bone in.
we had lamb
Good.
chops a lot, and it was because my parents were poor. My
Saint.
grandparents had my grandpa raised sheep, and so he would give us, lamb chops, and I didn't know that lamb was actually expensive until after my grandpa died, and I wanted, hey, get some lamb chops. Holy crap, that's expensive.
Yeah.
You
Lamb
know?
shank is really good. I
well,
love that.
my mom, she's to this day, if you go up to her house at Christmas dinner, she'll have, my dad loves this. She'll make this halibut casserole.
Oh,
And they'll have breadcrumbs and cream, and
Wow.
it's really good. And then
halibut's great.
she'll have
I do it for the
fried
halibut.
shrimp with what's that sauce called? Cocktail sauce. And
I thought you were
yeah.
going to say fried chicken, like
no,
like
And
you
then
had
she'll
spent
have
time
like
in
a-
Japan and brought the tradition over to America.
and then she'll have clam chowder. Always a good clam chowder. So it makes it, or potato soup.
Market Street has the best clam chowder you will ever have.
Yeah, it does. It does. But my mom's
Absolutely
is pretty damn good. It's all homemade.
Best clam
She doesn't-
chowder I've ever had was in Seattle. They had a little bit of the little Tabasco they added to it. It was really good.
Market Street. Every time we
Yeah,
go back to Utah, I gotta get it.
We kind of. I mean, I didn't emphasize Santa Claus that much with the kids. I tried to keep it more as a family. That's what I love about Christmas, is just the fact that you can actually have a whole family together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hear all these stories of people getting in fights, and I don't understand it. Maybe we don't drink alcohol. That might be, but you hear those sad stories sometimes, and it's like I've never felt that for Christmas.
I wouldn't
thank
doubt
goodness.
that that's part of it, Carl. I mean, Christmas is it's a somewhat stressful part of the year.
Or that
Because-
towel whipping tradition you all got.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but you can
Well,
have
Brent,
a year's worth of frustration from, different family conflicts. You get together, you drink a little, and then you
Oh,
blow
yeah.
up, a year's worth
yeah.
of frustration. So yeah, that is sad. Hopefully that's
Some
not a
people
tradition.
can't handle it very well. Yeah. Well, Brent, I'm very curious as far as so your in-laws are definitely Latin and have some really strong traditions from what you've told me and what Tracy said to me before.
Not
And
really.
then with your families, well, I mean, tell us with the potpourri or potpourri of the Whitley,
Well,
Brent Whitley.
growing up, much like you guys, there was always the big Christmas dinner beforehand. And if you're going to say a tradition that I hated, my mom, who I love to death, but over emotional on some items, would always have this where we would all have to write down what we're thankful for this upcoming year. And then we would put it in the jar. And then the following year, we would get those out and we would read those. And literally every year, mine was, I'm grateful that I don't have to keep writing this stuff. It's every single time. So Scrooge on that all the time. I wasn't into that kind of stuff, but getting together, get the fancy silverware out and the fancy plates out. And we had the long dining room table upstairs where all the adults would eat and then all the kids would eat down in that open room area. We had, tables set up there, and it was always fun having everybody over. My brother, my sisters, their kids, my parents, we'd have in-laws that would come over at times. And I do miss that. I miss the large gathering of everybody that was there. The most memorable Christmas that I can remember here with us is, there's actually two. The first one was get all the kids that get us woke up. It's like 4:00 in the morning. We get all of the kids down, give everybody their first gift to open. And it's like, all right, 1, 2, 3. And literally on cue, when we said 3, the power went out. It's so everybody
time?
just kind of looked around. No, this one Christmas.
Oh,
And so was kind of looking around. There's no lights or anything like that. And so I was like, well, guess we're having a pioneer Christmas. So I lit the fireplace up and had Christmas by the fire, which was actually really cool because, it was silent. There wasn't any of that buzzing from the TV being on or, clocks being around or anything like that. So it felt like one of them old 1800 Christmases, and then
It was
the other
an
one,
old hickory Christmas.
yeah,
old hickory.
and then
You get the old
Christmas
whiskey out too.
Old hickory is the nickname of Tennessee, right?
And no, that's the name of Andrew Johnson.
That's right.
Or Andrew
right.
Jackson. Andrew
Jackson. When Andrew Jackson was from Tennessee.
He was old.
Yeah.
The other one, which is
He was
a
an
little
a-hole, too.
more meaningful, was a Christmas where Tracy and I weren't doing too well financially at all. In fact, it was extremely rough that year. And it was kind of a year that changed us, that made us more giving as the years went on. But we literally had nothing. And I remember that we were a Sub for Santa family. And if you've ever donated to Sub for Santa, I will tell you that you are providing a family one of the most memorable Christmases that they will ever have. And my kids were able to get clothes. They were able to get toys. We were, very well taken care of. And that's one of the most memorable Christmases. I don't even know if my kids know that. We didn't tell them that stuff. As parents, you kind of hide that stuff away. But it definitely was a Christmas where we understood the real meaning of Christmas. And we talked about some of them traditions, but in giving to those who are less fortunate. And I'm not ashamed to say that we were less fortunate, and I'm very thankful for what we were able to get. And because of that, it kind of changes the way that Tracy and I view Christmas ourselves.
That's right.
That's cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well,
other than that, I mean, like I said, just those memories of being a kid, like you're talking about, Carl. You have to stay inside your room and you're kind of listening for things, and just that there's nothing as a kid as exciting as waiting for Santa to come. I don't know if you guys did this with your kids at all, but did you ever give them the quote unquote reindeer food? which was like a bag of oats, and they go out and put it on the lawn and stuff.
Yep.
And then, that it'd be gone in the morning and stuff, 'cause you'd
We
have
did
some
the
animals
cookies
come by.
one time.
Well, and that was all, in fact, still is a tradition that there's chocolate chip cookies and a glass of milk.
Which
And
I
so
liked.
I'd always make sure, when laying out the presents, that I'd take a bite of one cookie, leave it bitten, and then drink, the milk most of the way down and stuff. So the kids would come down and see, that he ate the cookies and stuff. It's just creating those
Yeah.
memories for your kids. Because like you guys said, Christmas as we do things as parents, we do it for our kids. We do it to see that sparkle in their eye, to see the excitement of when they're opening up their presents, to hear the pitter patter of feet running around and stuff. And I miss that. I really do.
Yeah.
So much
That's
better
one
with
thing is-
doing things for the kids than,
Yeah.
for yourselves.
I think that's one reason. I guess my kids are sick and tired of me talking about grandkids, but
Are you going to be one of those people? When are you going to have grandkids for me?
already am.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
never brought that up.
Oh my gosh.
Well, anyway, they're not even married yet.
I
can't
know.
even-
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Leave them alone.
I'm not gonna see them. I'm not gonna see grandkids for a while. But if I don't say something, they're never gonna get around to it. So I'll be dead and gone by the time they have a grandkid.
Come on, guys.
So-
Get busy. Start
Come on now.
fornicating.
Start fornicating. Let's go. Let's go. Take the you know what and put it in the you know what. Come on, kids. Let's go.
Oh, you don't need to be that descriptive.
I got to be honest too, and I'll tell you. So another thing that I did not like was having to go see the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I'm sorry.
Oh, would you? Oh,
I
really?
don't like it.
Oh.
To me, is extremely boring. The Christmas, the Christmas program that we always had to go to.
Would you guys go to the lights every
We would go to
26
the
or
lights,
27?
but because my
Yeah.
my brother and sister-in-law worked for KSL, we always had to go to the
Oh.
Christmas program, and we were very blessed when we had our oldest, who was an infant at the time, and we would have to sit back in the children's area, which was the greatest. It was so nice. It was warm. You could talk. You could walk around. You could do other things. And I'm sorry, I'm just
Nice.
not
You know what's-
into that. I'm not into
I
that.
just had a friend at
stuff.
work. He just said, "When do you think they're ever going to modernize that Christmas program for the church?" And I said, "I don't know, but I don't even go anymore or watch it anymore." But it's the same. You could just hit repeat from 1975, 78, 84. It's just, talks, more general conference talks.
I've never even watched it. I can't recall one time even seeing it. So
I can send you a link,
Nope.
Sean, if you
No.
want.
I'm pretty sure it's easy to find if I
There's
want
nothing as comfortable as being 6'1", sitting in them bench seats.
Oh,
That, pioneers were what, like 4'5"?
you're talking the old tabernacle.
Oh, yeah.
seats,
Yeah. No, those
Yeah.
things are not comfortable.
No.
They have the new
No.
ones now, Brent.
Yeah.
The-
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I've never
Hey,
seen
skating
a
you
second
don't have
one.
that excuse anymore. Go.
Yeah.
Start going again.
Now, I on my mission,
That's
I
the
went
desert gym to me.
I did go to a Catholic midnight mass, and I'll tell you that was pretty cool.
That's kind of fun, actually.
yeah, that was pretty cool. I must admit, it was
Midnight Mass.
a little dark.
Midnight
What?
Mass was great. Easter Vigil. Ooh.
Was it in Latin,
Okay.
Carl? Was it in Latin or was it?
No, it was English.
Go
It
to
was
a
in
Latin mass
Jersey
sometime.
somewhere.
you should
That's
go to
very
a
cool.
Latin one.
Yeah.
And then when they're passing the plate, you saw some $100 bills, man. A lot of them. I was like impressed. Like,
Yeah.
is this
Well,
the first
when
time
you
someone-
go,
You
when
didn't
you only
take from
go
it, did
twice
you?
a year, it's pretty
You have
easy
to
to
add
drop
to it, Carl, not take
a
from it.
Hyundai.
I was like, hey, that'd be nice to grab a. Yeah, anyway, no, I wouldn't. I was an LDS missionary. We wouldn't do that.
Oh, that'd be great story in Philadelphia.
The only
I
for
like
stealing from the giving plate.
the
we did
cathedral.
have to kneel a lot. We
Yeah.
had to kneel and stand, kneel and stand.
course.
I was
Keeps
just
you
like,
awake.
Holy
Keeps
crap!
you awake. But like our church here, I'm not a big fan of it because it's a modern church, but I love the old, like the cathedral in downtown Salt Lake. I love the old cathedrals like that with the stained glass and St. Paul. You've seen it before, Sean. The cathedral there in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful. Like the dome is just decorated and
I've
incredible.
been to mass and midnight mass and Christmas mass there. It's a beautiful building. It's really kind of a neat experience, and they've got the guy gets up in that little tower on the side of the I don't know,
podium.
It's really cool. It's kind of a neat experience, and the cathedral itself is gorgeous. I got a couple stories I could tell you maybe offline.
Well, my question is the LDS Church the only church that doesn't have a traditional Christmas mass?
Well, I mean, I think that they have
have a Christmas party.
I mean, it's always
don't they do the kids choir and stuff?
Service, yeah.
Well,
they have a Christmas service. What are you talking about?
Well, most Christian churches on the 25th have a service.
Yeah,
Mormon
Christmas
church,
Eve.
They don't do that.
Catholics every Christmas Eve. Yeah,
Christmas Eve.
And then on Christmas
unless
morning
it's on
and
Christmas
Day.
No, and
we had one recently.
Yeah, you're correct. No, they don't do anything on the day of Christmas or Christmas Eve.
That's
it's
the
always
one thing
just
I
the
wish.
Sunday before.
Well, that's the one thing I wish we would do in LDS churches, have like something more traditional like that.
Well,
but
we just
anyway.
need to lobby for you to be one of the new GAs, and you can work on that for us.
They would really have to change the name of the church then.
You never know.
Slacker.
You're going back to polygamy?
Saints? No.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh hell no.
They have to change things so that your polygamous ideals can fit back in?
No. I'm not a polygamist at all.
Huh. Well, that's what they all say. Don't they,
Hey,
Brent?
have you guys ever watched Christmas Mass from the Vatican?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, once. It was kind of
Very cool. Yeah.
Well, it's on really late at night.
They
Well, they
have
replay
this
it, though.
thing nowadays
replay it.
called Recordings, Carl.
Catholic Channel play it like 24 hours a day on Christmas.
I like the Orthodox Greek version myself, so I'll watch that next time. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't. I probably should watch it. It'd probably be pretty cool.
Hey, by the way, do you know what Catholic means? The word Catholic in
Together.
Greek?
United. Together.
Universal. Kind of
Universal Church.
Yeah, Universal Church. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Well,
Merry Christmas. Let's end this thing and then we can talk.
All right.
Great episode, guys.
Thanks for listening to 3 Dad Bods, and make sure to catch their past episodes on Spotify, Apple, and Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure and leave a comment to help stroke their fragile egos.